Hello and welcome to the Santa Anita Church. My name is Terry Keenan. I'm the senior minister here, and it is my pleasure to welcome you at least once a week to our church. Once this little thing we're passing through is finished and we've given up trying to pretend we're better than science, we'll get rid of this bug and we can come back to having our church services. Until that time, we're doing them briefly, as you see in here, and we'll start out the new year that way. Hopefully, it will abate soon, and we'll be able to come back in and see each other and celebrate and take some very valuable classes. This morning, you're going to get a lot of learning, I hope, if you stay long enough to listen to our sermon, because we've covered a lot of information. And this month is going to be a wonderful month for information. The first month of the year in the churches of religious science were always where they went over what they call the first chapter of the Science of Mind textbook, which covers what it is, what it does, how it does it, and the thing itself, which are the four basic ideas of explaining religious science and God. So with that in mind, I'd like to give you a reading for today from the Church of Religious Science. Listen to this, and then we'll take a little bitty break, and then we'll come back and I'll give you a sermon. Our reading is, God is that from which all love springs. His character is taught in the name of Father, representing the love, protection, and providing care of God for me, God's offspring. His life and love and wisdom and power and strength and substance. God is personal to me when I recognize him within me as my indwelling life, intelligence, love, and power. And may we be blessed with a clearer understanding of these beautiful words.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. I imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And one religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. Oh, and I hope someday they'll all join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I don't know if I can. There's no need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not
tipping point or turning point. We've all heard of the idea of a tipping point, the moment at which there is enough critical mass for a major change to occur. In today's world, that's often used to describe where we are globally, particularly environmentally. If we tip too far in the direction of destroying Mother Earth, for example, we won't be able to get her back. And that is definitely a concern. And that is what I want us to explore this month, the idea of turning points, those moments of decision, those moments when we individually or collectively decide to make a shift, to head in a different direction, to view things a different way, and to accompany that with a new behavior. Perhaps your being here watching and listening this morning is a turning point for you. If so, I applaud you. And the results of turning points are radically different outcomes. Or said another way, turning points result in different tipping points. This month, we will have personal turning point moments that will tip us in the direction of greater love, joy, peace, and manifestation, which can have a significant impact on our world. Today, we lay the groundwork and set the tone, not just for this month, but for the entire year. So I'm so glad you are with us today. Julie McIntyre, the director of the Center for Earth Relations, once said, "There comes a point when you know without doubt, without hesitation, that you cannot go back to your old life. You cannot be who you once were and also have a new life." And that point is the turning point. So on this first Sunday of this new year, at a time when individual and collective turning points are so important, we're going to take 5 perspectives on life and look at one way of viewing them and then turning point ways to view them. Here's your mission. Identify where you are with each of these. Some of the old views may no longer be your views. You may have already fully and completely embodied the turning point view. If that is the case, take a moment today to celebrate that. Way to go! And you will be invited into really putting them into practice in your lives this month and this year. On the other hand, there may be some that you think, I wish I had that new view. I'd like to have it. I know I would be happier and healthier if I did, but I simply don't. I may have it in my head, but it hasn't made the 18-inch journey down to my heart. Those are the ones I want you to pay very close attention to. Those turning point moments, those turning point views are the ones that are yours to pick up, try on, and this month, work on installing into the foundation of your belief system, because they will send your life in a very different direction. Let's get going. Here's an old view, number 1. God is a judgmental man outside of me, determining whether or not I am worthy of anything. This God is to be feared, and I have to be very good to gain favor with this God. I have to beg and plead and bargain with this God. God's punishments are meted out here and in the afterlife. This is a view that has a lot of the world today. This is the God I grew up with, and I suspect a number of us did, and it truly was a defining moment for me, a turning point moment when I first read about and then walked into a religious science church for the first time and heard that there was a different way to view God. And I always get a laugh out of people when I tell them I'd been going to church for a very long time. When I was a young man, my family didn't go to church. I went. The reason I went, I was told it was very good business, and I represented the family. But when I discovered religious science, and I read the words of Ernest Holmes, I was amazed. I thought he had to be the most intelligent man in the world because he agreed with me. Now, yes, I know that's a standard view, but that's what we do. When we find something that's a little bit different, a little bit better, he agreed with me. Give you an idea. Here's turning point view number 1. God is an energy of love and creation that flows through all, sustains all, surrounds all, in fact, is all. A little bit different, huh? This energetic world is a world of love, and it is the foundation on which all else rests. It's the building block that forms everything. How's this for a turning point view? In the words of Ernest Holmes, God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. And this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but it's not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. And this Spirit is incarnated in everyone, and all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. There is eternal goodness, eternal loving kindness, eternal givingness to all. Now, how's this for another turning point view? In the words of Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Word on page 83, he said, God is that from which all love springs. His character is taught in the name of Father, representing the love, protection, and providing care of God for man, his offspring. His life and love and wisdom and power and strength are substance. God is personal to us when we recognize him within us as our indwelling life, intelligence, love, and power. Changes the whole way the world looks, doesn't it, my friend? Here's another one for you. Old view number 2. The world is a scary place. Our job is to put on armor and work like heck to stay one step ahead of the terrorists, the super germs, the dysfunctional stepmoms, you fill in the blank. And in this part of the world, our job is just to survive. Life sucks and then you die is the anthem of this old view. I suspect that every single one of us can name at least one person who has this view. The question of this morning is that person you? Here's turning point view number 2. The universe actually has our backs and is constantly conspiring for our good by sending us blessings, gifts, and guidance. Our turning point view says that we live in a cooperative, user-friendly world, and that no matter how it may appear to the naked eye, life in its pure, unadulterated form, without our life sucks and then you die consciousness laid over it, is a bubbling cauldron of possibilities composed of pure, perfect love. What if this idea were actually true? Again, in the words of Ernest Holmes, the ultimate goal of life is to be completely emancipated from all discord of every nature, and you are sure to attain this goal. And what if this idea were actually true? Again, in the words of Charles Fillmore, when you pronounce every experience good and of God, by that mental attitude you will call forth only the good. What seemed error will disappear, and only the good will remain. This is the law, and no one can break it. The adversary always flees before the mind that is fixed on the pure, the just, and the upright. What if you had that as your view? Would that be a turning point view for you? How about old view number 3? Life happens to me. I'm an innocent bystander, a pitiful victim of circumstances, of weather, of disease, and worse, of my own dysfunction. External events constantly get in my face. The best I can do is learn to cope with these external events. Now, what would be turning point view 3? Life emanates from me. I create my world with my thoughts, my beliefs, and my energetic frequencies. The turning point view is that God operates through a universal mind, which we call the law of God. And we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. It is in our power to affect the conditions and circumstances of our lives through the power of this mind. We can heal the sick through the power of this mind. And on page 30 and 31 of the Science of Mind textbook, we cannot say that one thought is creative while another is not. We must say that all thought is creative according to the nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought. And ignorance of this excuse excuses no one from its effect. For we are dealing with law and not with whimsical fantasy. The turning point view, in the words of Charles Fillmore in his wonderful book, Talks on Truth, says, Jesus demonstrated the law of God, and his word was with power. He became the Word of God incarnate because he fulfilled all the requirements of the law. This fulfillment is the privilege of every man. Whoever dedicates his whole life to the supreme good, and by devotion, right thinking, right doing, right acting, pure living, and pure speaking fulfills the law, may have all the power of Jesus. God is no respecter of persons, but he requires an exact observance of the law to the least jot and tittle. If you had this view, really had this view, how would you live? Perhaps you'd be like Joe, the shoe salesman, sent with another shoe salesman overseas to scout for a new market. The first stop was a country where everyone was barefoot. The first salesman sent back a telegram to the home office saying, "Leaving tomorrow. This is an impossible market. No one wears shoes." Joe's telegram was very different. He said, "Great potential market. There's absolutely no competition." If reality is our doing, then we have the power to create life we love to live. just like Joe. All we have to do to give up our belief in deprivation and lack, our belief in separation, which takes us to Old View 4. No pain, no gain. We become so accustomed to living in the life sucks paradigm that it never occurs to us that another reality, a happy reality, is possible. Pain, loneliness, and fear are the context within which we live our lives. We're so conditioned to wallow in misery that the concept of life as a joyous and adventure seems impossible or even unnatural. But there's a different way to view life, and that is turning point 4. Turning point 4 says there is no reason to struggle. Once we let go, surrender to the universal flow of life, that's life with a capital L, will take over and have marked details. Pam Grout, in her wonderful book E Cubed, wrote on page 6, every moment we waste on worst-case scenarios undermines our ability to create the true and the beautiful. Every moment we spend worrying erects a block between us and all the signs and opportunities and, yes, blatant love that is here for the sole purpose of our enjoyment. Here's a turning point thought. Heaven is actually within us, and we will experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And here's a turning point thought. Faith in spirit and the ultimate dominance of the good in all of us will finally restore us to the heavenly consciousness from which we descended. Heaven is everywhere present. It is the orderly, lawful adjustment of God's kingdom in our minds, bodies, and affairs. And now, to our final old view. This is old view number 5. I am not worthy of a good life. I am inherently flawed, inherently bad. This could have come from old religious teachings, our upbringing, or a variety of other ways, but this old view must be spirit. You'll see why when I give you now turning point view 5. My worthiness is not at stake. It never has been, and it never will be. There is nothing required of me to be worthy. I am worthy simply because of who I am. The truth is this. Your soul, your spirit, your destiny are all part of the one life of God. See how important you are? The truth is this. Your real self is that which says, I am. It cannot be described because description is limitation, and your real self is unlimited in its capacity to be. It is the all possibility. It is love. Wherever you are right now, close your eyes and say to yourself, I am worthy of, and fill in the blank. Let's do that again. I am worthy of, fill in the blank. Try something else. I am worthy of. And again, I am worthy of. And fill in the blank, because all of those points are reality. So the crux of our morning is this. You have a choice as to which views of life you want to live. the old views or the turning point views? You have a choice right here and right now. I want to share with you a story, a true story of a guy who knew about the power of choice and who embodied these 5 turning point views and what happened for him even when faced with a pretty challenging experience. It was related by a friend of his, Francie Balthazar Schwartz. And she wrote, Jerry was always in a good mood and always had something positive to say. When someone would ask him how he was doing, he would reply, if I were any better, I'd be twins. Jerry was a manager in the restaurant business, and a unique thing often happened with him. He had waiters follow him from one restaurant to another restaurant. Why? Because of his attitude. He was a natural motivator. If an employee was having a bad day, Jerry was there telling the employee how to look on the positive side of the situation. Seeing this style really made me curious. So one day I went up to Jerry and asked him, I don't get it. You can't be a positive person all the time. How do you do it? Jerry replied, each morning, I wake up and say to myself, Jerry, you have 2 choices today. You can choose to be in a good mood, or you can choose to be in a bad mood. I choose to be in a good mood. Each time something bad happens, I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to learn from it. I choose to learn from it. Every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining, or I can point out the positive side of life. I choose the positive side of life. Right, it's not that easy, I protested. Yes, it is, Jerry. Life is all about choices. When you cut away all the junk, every situation is a choice. You choose how you react to situations. You choose how people will affect your mood. You choose to be in a good mood or a bad mood. The bottom line is, it's your choice how you live life. Soon after that conversation, I left the restaurant industry to start my own business. Jerry and I lost touch, but often I thought about him when I made a choice about life instead of just reacting to it. Several years later, I learned that Jerry did something you are never supposed to do. He left the back door of the restaurant open one morning. As a result, 3 armed robbers held him up at gunpoint. While trying to open the safe, his hand, shaking from nervousness, slipped off the combination, and one of the robbers panicked and shot him. Jerry was found relatively quickly and rushed to the local trauma center. After 18 hours of surgery and weeks of intensive care, Jerry was released from the hospital with fragments of the bullets still in his body. I saw Jerry about 6 months after the incident. When I asked him how he was, he replied, if I were any better, I'd be twins. Want to see my scars? I declined to see his scars, but did ask him what had gone through his mind as the robbery took place. The first thing that went through my mind was that I should have locked the back door, he replied. Then as I lay on the floor bleeding, I remembered that I had 2 choices. I could choose to live, or I could choose to die. I chose to live. Weren't you scared, I asked? Jerry continued, not at first. The paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the emergency room and I saw the expressions on the faces of the doctors and nurses, then I got scared. In their eyes, I read, he's a dead man. I knew I needed to take action. What did you do? I asked. Well, there was a big burly nurse shouting questions at me, said Jerry. She asked if I was allergic to anything. Yes, I replied. The doctors and nurses stopped working as they waited for my reply. I took a deep breath and yelled, "Bullets!" Over their laughter, I told them, I'm choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am alive, not dead. Jerry lived, thanks to the skill of his doctors, but also because of his amazing attitude. I learned from him that every day we have the choice to live fully. Attitude, after all, is everything. Choice is all there is. So this month, for the next 28 days left, start now. And I want each of us starting now to choose to put in the turning point views in new ways. Those that you already have, it's time to take them to a deeper level. Those that you have not yet embodied, this month is the time to do it. And you can do it. Here they are again. Turning point view number 1. God is the energy of love and creation that flows through all, sustains all, surrounds all, in fact, is all. Turning point view 2. The universe actually has our backs and is constantly conspiring for our good by sending us blessings, gifts, and guidance. Turning point view 3. Life emanates from us. We create our world with our thoughts, beliefs, and energetic frequencies. Turning point 4. There is no reason to struggle. Once we let go, surrender to the universal flow of life, life with a capital L will take over and handle the details. Turning point 5. Our worthiness is not at stake. It never has been, and it never will be. There is nothing required of us to be worthy. We are worthy simply because of who we are. And so with these beliefs, let us fly into a new life, a life of God-fulfilled love, peace, joy, and plenty. And so it is. I told you you'd get something out of it. Were you all sitting at home scribbling down notes? Well, that's good. We're going to have something going for some of our sermons this month where you can give us your name and your email, and we'll send you the notes. We'll send you at least the high points. Just be sure to write to the Santa Anita Church, to me if you want to, Rev. Terry at santaanitachurch.org. When you do that, we'll do what we can to get the information to you. And right now, I'm going to ask you to get something to us, and that's going to be your donation. Yes, we work on donations. We don't have a huge fund paying us. Somebody told me last week about a church they knew that collected $80,000 on the average Sunday morning collection. We do pretty well if we collect 1,000. But we're running all of this because of some incredible people that work here at the church, some incredible people who give heartily, and the rest of us. Won't you open your heart and open your checkbook and give to us as you would have us have it? We need to grow, and you need to grow with us. Say with me now, God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my gift back to you. God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my life back to you. And so it is.
Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be love on earth, the love that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let love begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in love eternally. Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me.
There's our service for the morning. I have one thing I still wish to add, and I'm going to do that now, but I want you to be thinking of these turning points that we covered this morning. Think about what they can do to your life, because I know that you have at least one of those points that you wish to change. Well, now, if you've kept any notes at all, or if you have a good memory, you can change those notes right now. You can change your turning point right now, and you can make a whole new life for yourself. It's not just going to be, I made a life, but you're going to have the impetus to start that life being how it can be, which is perfect, God-filled, healing, and good for you. And to get you even more along that life, along that wonderful, wonderful life, join me in our Lord's Prayer, beginning, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Oh, what a beautiful way to start your life. Start your day with that wonderful, wonderful prayer. Start your day knowing that you are a child of God, possessed of all good and wonder in your life. And know with me right, the light of God surrounds you. The love of God fills you right to the wonderful overflowing point. God is with you always. Amen.